Going live. Hello! Hi, everybody. This is what I'm drinking. I got Jameson, ginger, and lime. This is my green for today. I hope you all are doing good. What do you guys got? Jim, what are you drinking?
I just realized how big of a dick I am. I'm drinking Corona Familiar.
Insensitive. Steve, what are you drinking?
I'm having brandy, coffee in a green cup, and you could tell it's green because I have a green screen. And by the way, I'm Irish. I don't have to wear green.
Who's Brandy and why do you have her coffee?
She didn't want it.
I don't know if you can see this, but
Pinch me and I'll punch you in the face. Jim starting off with the threats. Ilya, what do you got? Nice. What's going on?
I am drinking a Red's Wicked Black Cherry.
Ooh. Jen, how about you?
I've got Houston tap water.
Oh, yeah,
wow, you're just going wild today. Wow. You might want to slow down chugging that.
I don't know.
Take it easy.
A couple quarts a day now.
And we got Mr. Serious. What do you got, my friend?
I got iced coffee because
nice.
I'm just so super exciting.
So that was our introductions, by the way, if anybody didn't catch on. That was who everybody is and what they're drinking.
You should have let him go first.
Nah.
I'm just kidding.
All right, so today we're talking about, we should have Sweet Heathen joining us as soon as she's done with some personal stuff. But we've got a whole panel here today to essentially talk about sort of the effects that being in isolation has had on people and can have on people in the future if you're not careful, what to look out for, what to not look out for, and things that you can do to kind of keep yourself busy without putting yourself necessarily in danger. This is not medical advice. Please bugger off. Also, we're going to be talking a little bit about how shutting down of so many factories and workplaces has affected the environment in specific places. So, does anybody have something they'd like to start with?
Leave some toilet paper on the shelf for other people.
Yeah, I'll relay my experience this morning because I actually went shopping this morning and I should have taken some photographs, but I didn't think about it. But I live in a pretty small town. There's I think 60,000 people total in the surrounding areas, and there's a lot of supermarkets, so it's not like there's one shop for everybody. And we went there, and I was kind of surprised that I didn't see a lot of cars in the parking lot. Right? Then I realized why. After you go in, there's
Steve.
Nothing.
Oh, I lost that? Steve. Just me. Only me.
Yeah.
Only I lost Steve. It's still showing for the desktop audio. It's just me. Keep going. I'll figure it out.
I'm still here. Yeah, so, I mean, you look down the aisle, and, I mean, literally everything was empty. There was 0 eggs, 0 breads. 90% probably the fat of the frozen aisle was gone. I would say probably 60 to 80% of the produce was gone. There was basically nothing, unless I couldn't even get fried chicken because it didn't even have any of that. So yeah, it's pretty weird that people are stocking up for like the zombie apocalypse. I mean, who needs to stock up for 6 months in advance? I mean, people go shopping for groceries. They usually go and buy stuff for the next 2 weeks to a month on the average. I do it weekly, but sometimes I'll stock up for 2 weeks. That's normal. The amount of the velocity that these things had to have off the shelf for these people that are buying it had to be like stocking up for at least 3 to 4 months per person.
I just went to the feed store and got hay.
That's insane. I live in an actual small town, population 979, and we have a very nice little co-op, and its shelves are just fine because everybody here has been taking care of each other for a long time. And I just can't imagine anybody here thinking that they need to hoard. It's just not that way here.
I'm just glad that I'm on a diet. So, I mean, I've been on a diet for like 2 weeks now. And so I'd be like, damn, I need food because I'm not eating a hell of a lot.
Okay, I'm back in.
I just so happened to stock up on toilet paper when it was on sale and some soups and stuff like that. So I'm okay. But I don't know how long I'll be okay.
You're not having to recycle recycle toilet paper yet? I can't talk. Had a little brandy.
Yet, no. Not yet. I'll let you know.
I felt guilty buying 3 rolls.
Well, now they're starting to
rolls
put
or
limits
3
on it.
packages?
Yeah,
I
of 12
know you
roll
buy
packs.
3 rolls.
Independent rolls.
Oh dear lord.
Oh, I buy a 4-pack, like just like that. That's the minimum. Like, I don't know. I don't like going into town as it is.
Like in general, or because there's a virus?
Yeah, like generally, like when there's plenty of toilet paper, like I'll get the biggest one I can find.
Yeah, that's fair.
Did you see what Punchy said? He said, "Why is everyone buying all the toilet paper? Because every time someone sneezes, 5 people shit their pants."
Because wow.
That's the best explanation I've heard
Isn't
so far.
sneezing not one of the symptoms of COVID-19?
I have no idea.
No, it.
Yeah, I don't
That
think it's one of the
does
symptoms.
not matter to the masses. That does
It's
not
like
matter. to the masses.
difficulty breathing and fever and lethargic.
I saw a chart where it actually showed the differences symptomatically in chronological kind of order of generally how you they progress. The symptoms would progress, and they're quite distinctual from each other. Flu, cold, COVID-19.
And it cycles pretty quick too. I think it's like 7 or 8 days, like from the time that your first symptom appears until you're no longer contagious.
Could we rename it, please, though?
Yeah.
Let's rename it Covfefe 45.
COVID 45. Well, they're both viruses of sorts, so
I thought you were gonna say Bud Light.
No, that's just poison.
No, that's just water.
yeah. Well, like, as Jim was saying, he doesn't like going out much. Neither do I. I don't head out an awful lot. So this isolation that's occurring to me is normal. I don't socialize a hell of a lot, so that's not affecting me at all. Although I know people that probably is a lot more affecting them than it would be somebody like Jim and I who don't go out a lot. However, on the way back, we stopped at Jack in the Box. Dining room's closed, right? And of course they have a line, for the drive-through. But in California now, the places are closed. The bars are closing, restaurants are closing, fast foods are closing, the dining area. They're taking it very seriously.
Kawasa for 10 said, strangely enough, we live right next to China, and things are mostly normal, except for the closures and bans on large-scale activities. Maybe the U.S. is really prone to fear, ? I think U.S. is a little bit prone to it, but also the United States has a lot, like, it's gotten into the United States very easily and quickly because they didn't have a whole lot of measures put in place to prevent that from happening. So now they're trying to get ahead of it by putting a bunch of things they wouldn't have had to implement if they had just been ready right out the gate.
Yeah,
I think Jim froze.
As far as America's attitude, though, when you take a look at these people who spend their lives to be, what do you call them? The survivalists. What are the 2 things that they are interested in gathering for their survival? Guns and freeze-dried food.
Yep.
And what has been selling out? Food and guns. The gun stores are absolutely nuts.
Yeah,
right
I've
now.
heard that.
Oh God, do I have to order Jim Baker's big bucket of food now?
Oh no, God, no! Please, no!
Damn
don't
it.
start with that.
I've been trying to hold off doing that, but he might make a killing now. Oh God, Jim Baker was right. It is the apocalypse.
Nikki
What kind of
Daly's-
party?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what kind of party are people gonna have with toilet paper, water, and guns?
Hey, listen, you can
A
have a lot of
hurricane
fun with a
party.
bag of dicks. Nikki Daly said, my mom's doctor called her today. Because she's dying, to not come into her appointment or the hospital, because if she catches it, she will probably die. So she can't go to the hospital. I'm sorry about your mom. I hope she's okay.
Yeah, the elderly and the more infirmed are definitely more at risk. Jess, can you change on your mic, your sensitivity? Can you lower it a little bit because you're clipping the first half a second?
There we go. That should do it.
Yeah.
We've also
and also,
got... Sorry, go ahead. Please.
I wanted to add on to the whole why America is different kind of thing. We do have a lot of old people in this country. The baby boomers are all very susceptible to what the coronavirus can do. So there's a whole lot more people that are in the danger zone. And there's a whole lot of also misinformation that this country just loves to produce and
Oh.
consume. So that is also spreading a whole lot more fear. So yeah, that's why we're a lot different than other places.
Well, I don't.
The fear is actually quite rational. My cardiologist told me to isolate, do not let anyone in, do not let anyone out. If you catch this, you're probably going to die. So this is like real to me. And I can't tell you how creepy it feels every time you hear some fucknuts reporter doing their little story on the plague, and at the end they say, "Oh, but it's only the old, elderly, and people with pre-existing conditions that are going to die from it," and that's you.
Yeah, it's like those
Yeah.
aren't still people.
Yeah, the fear is.
I mean, I'm in the over 50 crowd.
The fear is rational. The
I just happen to be in
panic-
good health.
it's the panic that's the problem, not the fear. It's okay to be afraid of things. It's okay to be concerned. It's okay to be worried. And some people should be more concerned than others, of course, depending on your personal situation and where you live. However, panicking is not going to help anybody, and especially if you're somebody who is very, very low risk, to be overdoing it and putting the people who are at higher risk at even more of a risk when you're starting to panic.
Yeah, just like the people that are price gouging. Those are the people that are taking advantage of the situation. Those are the people that I find to be the detestable ones in America and other countries that are using a pandemic for profit. I just can't even conceptualize that because of their actions. People might actually die, and they don't seem to care.
Is it like the man in Tennessee who decided to buy 17,000 bottles?
Yeah, but he actually donated he actually the other day donated his stuff. Yeah.
He ended up donating
he
it.
got
Yes,
shamed into donating it.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, he was
shame.
kind of forced to.
Oh yeah.
Convict.
I offered him.
Jim has a storm right now, so he's it's storms.
I chased
affecting
him
us.
away as usual.
You have that effect on men. They just go running, screaming away. I mean, there's a storm knocking out stuff. It's like
storm.
Can we?
Oh wait, it's like Sweet's here. Oh.
Abort! Run!
Can we do a special thanks to Sweet Heathen, because Sweet is the one who actually got everybody together for this.
It wasn't that difficult. I'm really glad people were around. It's something to do. I'm sure everyone like me is feeling a little shut in and little adult deprived, and it's nice to have conversations with grown-ups.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I still did my stream today. So originally I was either going to do this stream or the introduction-y type stuff to the incels, but I decided because so many people are kind of stuck inside that it would be a good idea to do both and do so I did a 2-hour stream just going through definitions, and now we're doing this one. Just to, give people something to do, give people something to talk about, and it sucks getting stuck inside and being like, what do I gotta watch, cable? Kawasa for 5 said, I see 2 Cheshires on stream. There's a 17-year-old version and a 20-year-old version.
Oh, thanks for pointing out that I'm older. I appreciate that.
Only by 3 years.
Oh, no, I'll take it.
What does that make Mr. Serious, by the way?
I'm of age, I promise.
Yeah,
I'm in the.
That really matters.
I'm in that danger zone.
If that's the case.
Oh,
yeah,
preteen?
You are in that danger zone. You should tell us about that.
I have a affected immune system. I take Enbrel, which helps fight my white blood cells because they're tearing my joints apart. So, which makes me more prone to catching viruses and getting infections. So I've been ordered to quarantine myself and pretty basically just stay in the house. I can't leave.
I'm sorry to hear that.
That's
I know.
really
We talked
rough,
a little bit about that before. Yeah. I have a.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I'm saying it's even with young people, people like me, I have a weak respiratory system. I have my whole life. So things like that are dangerous for me too. So, and I'm otherwise a healthy, mid-30s person. It shouldn't be that concerning, but I totally agree with what Jenny said when I came in. That's horrible. And to hear other people, oh well, I'm young and healthy, so it's only old infirm people. Like they're not human beings. It drives me insane. And I have people in our town that are like that on the town forums that are shaming people for being concerned and for taking precautions. Like, oh, you snowflakes, you paranoid people. It's like, no, we care about our loved ones. Like my family's elderly. Do you have a father? Do you have a mother? Do you have aunts, uncles?
I think there's a over precautions though, and I think that overly
Oh, of
being
course.
precautious has a negative effect. So there's has to be like a middle ground,
that's
right?
the panic part. When
That's
the panic
over,
mode, right?
When you're over cautious and you start taking up so many resources that you're harming other people, and I mean actual harm. There are people who. I saw a video of a lady who was in a store videoing herself saying that I cannot buy diapers for my child because I can't afford to buy 20 of them. What am I supposed to do? How am I going to take care of my child? So you've got people who aren't likely to be in that danger zone because age is only part of it. Age is a part of it, but whether you have like some pre-existing issue or you're taking some kind of medication that lowers your immune system, you are actually, in the case of this situation, you're at risk. But people who are really at risk, because this isn't it does not appear to be a disease that's harming children, and it does not appear to be a disease that's very harmful to the middle-aged average person who's in decent health, but they're still stockpiling stuff that there's absolutely no reason to be stockpiling.
Right. Yeah, they're worried more about the quarantine, I think, or the isolation, that fear that I'm going to be stuck in for months, and I'm going to need all these things, but then not thinking about sharing it. And there's the people who are like, oh, I'm not symptomatic, so I can be out and about. I can still work. I can still go do these things. I can still be around these people because I'm not symptomatic, ignoring the fact that you can be asymptomatic for a long time and still be carrying and still be spreading.
Yeah, but what about the areas that are like not even that populated? Again, there's only been a handful of cases in Southern California. I mean, in California in general, there's only been like, I think, excluding the Princess Cruise Line stuff, there's been a handful. There's like 2 in Riverside or 3 in Riverside at most, 1 in San Diego, and 1 or 2 in LA. So in my area, which I'm in between, there's been no cases whatsoever. So why would people in like these areas feel the need to stock up when it hasn't even affected these areas? I can understand in the affected areas, but
you don't know. That's the problem, because people aren't being tested, and a lot of people could be carrying without knowing they're carrying. So just because there are no confirmed cases in your area doesn't mean that there's not cause for concern or precaution.
Sure, no, I definitely agree with that. But again, when you're buying enough to stock up for 6 months,
it's the difference between precaution and panic.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand where the people are coming from a little bit. I don't understand the panic. I don't really consider panic as much as I do extremely self-serving and greed, just a different form of greed. But I understand their point. That
I have to go for a second.
A month ago, it didn't exist anywhere. So.
Oh, and I think it's really important to say I'm technically not in the danger zone. I haven't told many people this, but last week I had an appointment because you guys, I don't know if you remember, but back in January I had to have the surgery to have the tumor removed from my adrenal gland that was causing my Cushing's disease.
I remember that.
Yep. And last Tuesday I went in for another CT scan and blood work, and I am tumor free and in what they are considering remission from that.
Wonderful.
So that's good news. But the flip side of that is that does cause some to your body because it's a hormonal change. So I was producing too much cortisol. Therefore, it caused me to go into a pre-diabetic state. So although I don't have diabetes, I am in a pre-diabetic state, which does compromise my immune system somewhat. So My biggest thing with this is that I'm a little stir crazy, but also feel safe. But I also don't feel entitled to go out to the store and stockpile toilet paper. Everybody needs toilet paper. Go get what you need and people. There's going to be more that gets stocked up over the next few weeks. And, if you're too afraid to go into kinds of options now with delivery and pickup.
I can definitely understand people buying like an extra amount. So let's say you get the biggest one. Let's say you go with Jim's way of doing it and seeing like, hey, the biggest one's on sale, I'm gonna get the biggest one. Well, now you're a little bit concerned, so you get 2. That's concerned. That's being additionally prepared because you're getting an amount that's like 24 rolls, and let's say you go through a roll a day because you have a family of, let's say a family of 4 goes through what, 2-3 rolls a day? So if you go through that many
shit.
Yeah, I know.
That's a lot.
I'm going for a lot. I'm going like the far end. Let's say, is a roll a day reasonable for 24? For a pack of 24? Does that make sense? So you've got one pack will last you about a month, a little less than a month. So if you're concerned about this, it would make sense to get 2 packs. What doesn't make sense is 20 or 40 or 10 or 5. An extra 1 or 2, sure. I just don't understand why distributors like Walmart didn't put a cap on
They do now.
5.
Some are,
Yes,
yeah.
they do. There was
Before,
actual
I mean,
science.
some have started to do it now, but this should have been implemented as soon as they saw the first person get 20, they should have been like, no? Like, you think there would be in general a soft cap.
Do you think
What
this
I'm hoping for is that all these people who are filling up their pickup truck full of toilet paper and taking it home and storing it in their basement get nailed by the spring floods.
I don't know if they're trying to store it or sell it. I think a lot of these people might be trying to sell this shit. But
a lot of them are,
using it like sandbags.
But that's what I'm saying. Do you think this is indicative of society in general, that you have, again, this kind of people out there that are taking advantage of a pandemic for profit? I mean, we see people like that in the community. Don't get me wrong. We have people in the community, well, not even in our community, but tangential community or people like that. They'll do anything for money. We get that, right? There are people out there that are just greedy. But do you think that in society as a whole, this is more prevalent than I had? I didn't think people were really this bad. I always look for the
Honestly,
best in people. But
I mean, have you ever heard of Black Friday?
Well, the term that Steve is looking for.
You know how many Black Fridays I've been through? I mean, it is. Yes, I've lived
It's
through
not
many
that
Black
surprising.
Fridays.
It's really not that surprising.
The term Steve is looking for is opportunistic. These people are
Opportunistic,
opportunistic. They're not necessarily like, they're probably greedy in their day-to-day lives, but it probably doesn't affect their day-to-day lives very often because the opportunity isn't there. But because now the opportunity has presented itself and they're like, well, I don't really see any problem with this.
I call those people bad people, though. Those are
a lot
bad
of these people don't
sorry.
realize that there's a problem with what they're doing.
Well, because they're bad people.
Sure. Kawasifer5 said, can you guys imagine the amount of stress medical personnel would be feeling right now? Daily contact with patients, high risk, no time to rest. That's one of the reasons. That's the main reason for the quarantines. The main reason for the quarantines isn't necessarily because more or less people are going to die. The main reason is to keep it at a reasonable level so that the medical industry can handle the amount and the influx of people coming in, so that way people can still go to the doctor, people can still go for their regular things that they need to go for, get their medications, because we don't have to shut down pharmacies. There's a big difference between 300 people coming to a hospital a day in a major city at a major hospital and 3,000 people coming in a day.
Right. Yes, and also making sure those people stay available, because the more medical professionals, EMTs, firefighters, all those people that get exposed to people who are ill, the bigger chance that more of them will become out of work because they become ill themselves. And then we don't have those people doing what we need them to do.
Yeah, well, that's the main reason I isolate myself, because the judge told me I'm not allowed to go out and expose myself. So I'm kind of used to staying home. But
nobody wants Steve to expose himself. Let's be
No,
real. There's too many other people trying to expose Steve. They don't need any help.
Or
maybe they do. I don't know.
They seem to need some help.
I don't know. People like exposing me. I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
shit! I didn't put
one
Steve's
of
name
these
in the
is going to be on
title.
Pornhub. Steve exposed.
we have brought this upon ourselves largely. Back in the 70s, I was involved. Well, I worked for the Southeast Wisconsin Health Systems Agency, and the whole purpose of SUSHA was to make assessments of the 10-county area around Milwaukee, the hospital bed numbers, and to make decisions about how many beds are going to be removed. And the primary reason for the removal of these beds, called excess bedding, you don't need to have that many, was for the profitability of the for-profit hospitals. That if there were too many beds, they couldn't keep their prices high. So they eliminated the smaller hospitals. They eliminated the nonprofit hospitals.
It's so sad.
And that's what we have today, folks, is the result of that.
There's something that they do in Sweden that I really like, and it is essentially they're for-profit hospitals, but the only profit they make is through the government.
Oh, you're clipping again.
Like
bad.
I think that's a Steve problem. Because
Well,
when you
actually-
told me I was low, you know you can turn me
you
down.
You're,
No, do you guys
you
hear
are
the clipping?
clipping a little, sweetie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're clipping. But I have to make a phone call. I'll be back. Okay.
Okay.
I hate to take Steve's side.
Yeah, I'm
Rude.
not hearing every other word. You're not hitting the sensitivity level after you turned it up.
My
Oh, yeah, that's probably
God.
it.
How about this? Is that better? I moved the microphone closer. And now I can talk to you like this.
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
Ooh.
Just keep doing that.
Yeah.
Sexy FM
Different.
DJ.
So I have a question for Jen, actually, and my question is essentially, you probably seen some shit. So there's been a few situations like this. Like we had the SARS outbreak, and then there was like the Spanish issue, blah, 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 blah. Is there anything that you've witnessed that's been kind of on this level or close to this kind of issue, or is this more or less? Or...
No, this is not close to anything. This is so over the top compared to anything I have seen in my 65 years. None of them. I mean, there was no threat of quarantine, widespread quarantine in SARS or any of the other seasonal viruses that came through. No,
SARS
this
had a
is-
much higher mortality rate.
the closest this comes to my memory, and the memory is very foggy because I was extremely young, was polio back in the end of the 50s and early 60s. I can remember standing in lines that went around the building to get polio inoculations when they finally came out. But as far as all this insanity with grocery stores and stuff, no, not at all. And the emptiness of the streets, no, nothing like that ever, not even close.
So do you expect to see something like that whenever the vaccine for this is ready? Do you expect to see the same kind of reaction, like the lineups around the corner to get it done?
I don't know. You know, it's just the twitch of my ass whether or not I think so. I think it's certainly possible because people have shown themselves to be, you know, greedy fucks. But the medical community is going to have control over that, not the people, not the grocers. And so there's going to be a lot more sanity involved in it. And I also think that the drug companies will ramp up production in anticipation of releasing it. You know, the things that they're testing right now were drugs that were already developed for Ebola and stuff like that didn't work out for those particular viruses, but showed to themselves to be effective against this. And so they already have the knowledge and ability to ramp up and produce this stuff. But it's still going to be a year and a half. This shit ain't going to happen in the next month or so.
Started clinical trials, but it's going to be months before they know the results of those. And
yeah, it'll be a lot of time.
They got to do double blinds and everything. So
yeah,
it's going to take a while.
Do you think this is going to like encourage people maybe a little bit more to get their flu shots?
You know, that's one of the things I've been thinking about is, well, how is this going to change the anti-vax idiots in the country? I cannot. Well, no, I can. I would hope and pray, in a non-God sense, that people would be able to put two and two together and realize that the vaccines and stuff that they're talking about now and what is going on right now is exactly what the anti-vaxxers have been told they're going to cause if they don't get their asses in gear and inoculate their kids. and that I think government is going to become much more open to the idea of compulsory inoculations. I don't care what you think. I don't care what your religion is.
An opt-out
We're not
system,
gonna,
yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to let the whole country die because of you and your attitude. So, I'm hoping that there's going to be changes like that.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of anti-vaxxer stuff. Has anybody seen any?
Nope, not a bit.
Not much. No, actually, honestly, a little bit. There have been some people more on the conspiracy side of this is
Yeah,
just
yeah,
another
yeah,
way to
yeah.
push vaccines. They're
Mhm.
saying that crap, but other
So,
than
like, the
that,
virus was released on purpose to make people get vaccinations for other stuff?
or it's not really that bad. They're just making it seem that bad to make everybody afraid and make them go get vaccines when it finally comes out.
I saw a great one on Twitter.
Yeah.
Somebody tweeted that this was originally called the Wutan WUTAN virus because it came from Wutan, China, but that actually means that it was from the WHO, the World Health Organization, and who was the other one? Wutan or something UN, of course. And to show that it's a big conspiracy that they invented the virus and that they're spreading the virus and it's all for world domination, of course.
Right. Yeah, of course.
So call it James Bond, please.
I've seen a few conspiracy theories pop up that this was all planned and it was to incite fear around election time
Mhm.
to
Yeah,
try
I've seen that
to
too.
push
The-
political narratives
The only
because we're
thing
in
that
an
I would buy
election
with
year.
the only thing I would buy with that is that Trump handled it poorly on purpose to cause fear so more people would vote for him. With obviously the biggest problem being Trump did a bad job to try and convince people to vote for him.
He's done a shitty job with this. It's like embarrassing.
There was a whole
Well,
lot
How
of
shitty
not prep.
done.
There's a whole lot of
Considering
not
that
prepared.
he received his first notification and information about it on the 20th of January.
That's
and
when
they did
that's around the same
absolutely
time that
nothing.
Canada started working on started testing out vaccinations and trying to isolate the virus. They've been working on it since January.
You clipped out a bunch there again.
Why, Twitter? Why are you like this? On the plus side, that's only coming through on your guys' end. That's not coming through on the stream end.
Great. That's fine. I don't have to hear what you say.
I said that Canada started its work on vaccines in January.
Can we have some?
Yeah.
And
Probably.
our leader in chief of Orange
Chief
Cookie stuff
Cheeto.
was saying
He
it
does
was
not
a
represent
Democratic
the
hoax.
majority.
What a
Yeah.
good guy, hey?
The only country that is allowed into Canada right now are U.S. citizens. That's it. Every other country is shut down from coming into Canada.
That's because they're used to smelling our farts.
Yeah, and even then, like, all the airports are shut down, so the only way you can get in is through either walking or driving.
So true. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I can drive. I mean, I've got a couple couches I'm sure that people will open up for me.
Aw, probably.
Who wants to sponsor me in Canada to move there?
That's actually how it works.
I got $5 I can give you.
There's actually a sponsor program, so somebody who has, like, I wouldn't be able to do it because I don't have a regular job. My job is working online in freelance art, so my job wouldn't apply, but if you know somebody who's got, like, a factory job or something like that, they can essentially sponsor you to live in the country. So you would be able to come to Canada, then you start applying for the paperwork and et cetera, et cetera. Essentially, it's a lot easier to move to Canada than it is to move to America because America doesn't really want any other people from not America in their country.
I might know someone.
We do want people in our country. We just don't want you to come here legally so you can, get like Social Security or get paid about like minimum wage. You can pick vegetables for like $2 an hour. We like that. Love it.
I am convinced that I'm about now is the time to start that GoFundMe to start a commune up here.
I'm getting on board with that, very much so.
I have done my Google Earth research and chosen my route for defecting to Canada.
Everybody's ready, man.
I'm dead serious. That if as a trans person, if things get much worse with the Trump administration and murders and stuff, I'm going to consider this place a politically dangerous place for me to live, and I'm going to escape.
Oh, you could apply for asylum theoretically if that's the case.
In Canada, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. If that ends up happening for you, you let me know. We'll see. I'll do whatever we can to get you set up here.
All right.
Yeah,
I get Social Security, so I wouldn't be a total suck on the state.
Yeah, you know what? I don't even care.
I think I've got somewhere to go in Canada, so I think I'm good.
It needs a cool goblin village name. Okay, well we'll start crowdsourcing that.
You'll love Winnipeg.
Ah, Winnipeg. So, out of curiosity, we were talking about isolation and we kind of moved into like social panic, which is kind of more the problem than anything else. It's like it's not a problem to stock yourself up a little bit just in case, but panic is too far. When it comes to isolation, a lot of us haven't necessarily felt it as much as others because a lot of us do our work here online. Ilya, you were saying you're going a little stir crazy, and Sweet, you were saying that you're getting feeling a bit of the cooped up. What are some of the tells that you guys have found so far that things that have bothered you a little bit more than other things maybe?
I think it's all the doom and the gloom. It's a little bit triggering. You're stuck inside, you're isolated. The only interaction that I'm having right now is via Discord, Twitter, and then I can work from home. So I'm at least having some normalcy with the ability to work from home. But at the same time, even feeling safe and feeling like, okay, well, I'm isolated. All I have are my animals. So it's a little bit daunting and a little bit scary when you're not actually out in the world, but all you're hearing from the world is the doom and the gloom. It's a little triggering.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And people like that too. I say, oh, like people like, oh, like if you have a spouse or you're with another adult, like at least you have adult company. But then there are people who don't have any company at all, like you said, other than their animals. I have my daughter. It's just the two of us here. And I'm getting a little like stir crazy and missing adult company because I'd have friends come by now and then. Normally, I'd see people. I go back and forth between being introverted and extroverted, anyways. So there are some moments where I'm like, I'm totally fine being alone, but when I'm forced to be alone, it feels very different than when I choose to be alone.
Right.
And I think that's a very big part of it, because I can't choose to go out and see a couple of friends at a bar for a few hours or have a friend come over and have lunch,
And that unknown, you don't know.
Yeah, the
you're not
unknown.
gonna
Like,
know
well,
when you're gonna be able to.
when am I gonna see these people again? Like, when am I gonna have human contact again? Be able to hug a friend or other forms of physical contact that a lot of people don't know if they're gonna have in a while. Everyone's getting very frustrated, and it's only a few days in. It just started, but I think it's the projected, like, oh, this is how this feels now. My kid's home for, is 3 weeks home from school. Um, and she's already losing it. She's already getting stir crazy and I'm trying to actually have just ordered good internet to come and get set up tomorrow. Thankfully, a tech is still coming out. They're still doing that. Gonna keep my distance, but to have that just quickly set up so that she can talk to her friends better and we can play more games online and just stay busy like that. And we go outside for walks, but people even on the street keep a distance, of course. So when you pass somebody on the street, sometimes they cross the road. And sometimes they will just, we keep our mouths shut and we just nod and smile or whatever. Hi, how you doing? But there's that look of, am I too close to you? Are you uncomfortable?
Mhm.
Do you think I'm uncomfortable? It's just really bizarre. It's just not what I'm used to because I'm normally a very social, close person.
Yeah,
I
same.
I read an experiment just for shits and grins. Last week when I was doing my prep and getting stuff to hole up for the next couple of weeks, I had to pick up some prescriptions, so I go to the local hospital, which is where my pharmacy is, and I would go up near people waiting at the elevator and cough. and people look frightened and move away.
Yeah.
I just wanted to
It's
test
so
it.
true.
People get so
Oh,
weird
it's
on
so
elevators to
weird.
begin with. It was kind of fun.
See, I've been the opposite. If I have a tickle in my throat or something and I've been out, I've been like coughing with my mouth closed, so people like across the street or coming towards me can't tell I'm coughing.
Oh Lord.
I'm just like,
So I got this little graphic that Steaming Cup of Reason was kind enough to send to us, and I'm going to share it to the outside, and I'm gonna read it for you guys because you guys aren't gonna be able to see it, and I don't feel like futzing around with the Discord. So it's COVID-19 and coronavirus, and now we're demonetized because technically we actually hadn't set it up until this point. So, you know, we were doing okay. Symptoms: headache, runny nose, cough, sore throat, high temperature, muscle pains, and vomiting. Those are the symptoms you should be looking out for.
according to, sorry, what site is that?
This is just an infographic.
Because honestly, like, it seems different sources are saying slightly different things. They either have extra symptoms or they're less symptoms that they're saying. But I think it's, it's specific to it. I think something important to remember is that people's immune systems respond a little bit differently depending on who you are. So you can have a really runny nose if that's how you're responding to the invasion in your body. Somebody else may not have a runny nose, that kind of a thing. So the runny nose isn't always included.
Yeah, I would say, like, this isn't a, you need to have all of these to go get checked. This isn't a, you need to have all of these to confirm, to confirm that you do, in fact, or don't, in fact, have it. These are just the things that you need to, if you start having one of these, start taking precautions. So, headache, runny nose, cough and sore throat, high temperature, muscle pain, and vomiting. Again, these are not mutually exclusive. Prevention: wear a protective mask. So basically, don't cough at people. Wash your hands, avoid public places, and not contact wild animals, and don't touch your face. So the thing is with animals specifically is animals won't get sick, but animals can carry it. And that's something to keep in mind. So if you're a dog owner and you go to the dog park,
actually, sorry, I guess to stop you, and you can double check this, but I heard that dogs are actually immune.
I've heard they can still carry. They're like, they can't get it, but they can still carry it. They can't get it.
Okay, I just want to double check that because cats are still susceptible.
That would include incels then too.
Hey, Lamalk. Pew pew pew.
Yeah, but we want to stay away from them for all sorts of reasons already.
So this was released in Vietnam, and the important thing is to remember that there's a 2-week incubation period before you even see anything. Thank you, Steaming Cup of Reason. So that's where that came from. This is the one that was this is the graphic that they released in Vietnam.
That's good.
This is not, again, this is not specific to the point of if you only have these things or if you only have all of these things. This is, if you start to notice these symptoms, cough.
Yeah. Be careful.
Yes.
That's what I've been doing. Like, most of I was ill for the past week and unknown, but it was those symptoms. And so I just kept away. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know because if you go, you call your doctor and they tell you to stay away unless you have, shortness of breath, like to a degree of you can't breathe.
Well, it's because there's nothing they can do for you, right?
Exactly. But they're not even going to test you otherwise unless they think you're high risk of having had it. Yeah. So they say a lot of people may have it and just get over it and whatever. But still, it's like just on the careful side, there are flus going around. People are sick with other things.
It's the time of year for that.
Yeah. So, but either way, I don't want to give somebody else, say I have just the regular flu or I guess have a cold. I don't want to give that to somebody else who then may get the other thing and now they have a double whammy. I don't need a double whammy of having whatever I had plus the other virus because that could kill me. So, even if you don't think you have COVID, yeah, just, be careful.
Getting more than one thing. Kawasa for 2 said, I'll add, don't eat wild animals to the list. I mean, cook them if you're going to.
Yeah, don't eat them off the pavement.
Don't eat roadkill, probably, or at least make sure it's properly stewed. We're not medical professionals. Keep that in mind. These are just the graphics that governments are releasing to keep in mind. Yeah.
Yes, and also apparently new stuff keeps getting found out about this thing. I have some like not confirmed at all sources from oh crap, what's that site at? About to scare anybody? Oh, hold on, I had it here just a second. It was from Thailand. Jeez, I have no idea. But they were saying how they think that the coronavirus could have like a nervous system link attacking the nervous system, and I have no idea if it's like evolving or if that was always the case. But I would definitely keep an eye on medical, like what they have to say about it, just to keep up to date with all the different stuff.
Yeah, definitely keep up to date, but also make sure you don't overtax yourself. Don't scare yourself by watching too much of all of the things that are happening. Make sure that you take a step back and breathe and take a minute to yourself, so you're not only consuming that kind of information, because too much is not going to be good for you. It's going to be a bad time. You don't want to stress yourself out unnecessarily, because that's just going to make things worse.
Yeah, don't try to become like an expert on the coronavirus. Just try to learn how to protect yourself. You want to be as safe as you can be, and that's all that really matters.
Absolutely. And trust professionals. Don't listen to the rando down the street that says that they're
Or us.
overreacting and they're wrong, or us. We are the randos down the street. Listen to your professionals and doctors. It's really important.
Don't listen to the media. The media is going to make it outrageous. That's how they make their money.
Yeah.
You have to listen to actual professionals who know what they're talking about.
Yeah, if the media is presenting a professional, take a second while you're watching to look up who the professional is, and take a second if the media is actually presenting like, oh, the White House or the Minister of Health or the World Health Organization. Just make sure to double check that that's what they're actually saying. Just be cautious, pay attention, be alert, but don't overtax yourself.
Right.
Don't trust us.
And also,
What do we know?
Yeah,
keep
we're
in
just
mind
talking.
that a lot of these news channels, they understand there's a whole lot of people sitting at home ready and willing to watch them for 24 hours a day. So they have I guess they have an incentive to give you something maybe a little bit more exciting and excitable to watch. So take everything with a grain of salt, unless they're actually putting on an expert, and then, like Jess said, look up who the expert was afterwards.
Yeah, it's not that big of a deal to check, and it's really not that hard. People think that it's like, oh, well, how am I supposed to know whether or not this person is a professional or not? It's really not that hard to Google somebody's name, and it's pretty easy to tell the difference between, like, if you Google my name and I say, hey, I'm a professional in this, it's pretty easy to tell that I am not that thing. If the only source is my own website to me and there is no other source about me, then you should probably maybe not necessarily think I'm that much of a professional.
Yeah, at least look into other sources and compare what people are saying that have credentials.
Yeah.
And remember, JM Truth says he's a professional at CGI.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Why would you? No.
Whole other rabbit hole.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh.
The sun screaming as it rises. I'm sorry I can't hear you over the color of your shirt. God. Is there... Okay, so for those of you who are more extroverted here, is there any advice that you have for other extroverts, and any introverts that are here? Is there any advice that you might have for the extroverts on how to help them cope with the situation of not necessarily being in as much contact, and what do you kind of do to help keep yourself busy?
Oh, gosh. As an introvert, let me please explain to the extroverts. Naps help a lot. You go unconscious and you get just chunks of the day disappear, and it's a lot easier to cope. And I'm serious about that. Um, I live this very solitary life with no friends and family around here, and I've been isolated for a year or so here now, only going out for what I have to do to go out, and once in a while hanging out in the park and things. Um, just get used to your own thoughts. Learn to ignore your thoughts. Learn to occupy yourself with books and music, or in my case, writing, bullshitting with people on the internet, whatever. Um, don't let it get to you. The silence can be deafening.
True. Yeah.
Um, I have suggestions from a professional isolationist. I barely ever get out of the house. I'm not a professional. Don't listen to me. But here's some suggestions that you should listen
An
to.
experienced isolationist.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. Definitely keep contact with people. Call people that you haven't talked to in forever, because there's probably some people out there who are sitting at home doing nothing right now, and they might not know that talking with people helps. That's was looking up like different things that help people when it comes to being isolated, and you can get like anxiety and depression and PTSD. Like there's so many things that can happen to you just from being isolated from the rest of the world. Communication was the number one thing that would minimize those effects. So talk to people, keep in conversation, do like a video chat a day. If you're not used to doing video chats, just do them. And play games with people online. Don't, like, if you have the option to play by yourself or people you know, pick people you know. Just like I said, always try to keep in communication with other people. It'll definitely keep you straight. And one of the ways that I would suggest that would, and I don't mean straight in a pejorative, one of the things that I think that you could help you is if you have a Discord server. This is something that Ilya has done, and I think it's a great idea. Create a support voice chat channel for people to just be able to go in and just voice their anxieties, and maybe they could even get help, or maybe like a text chat channel or something like that, where people can actually talk to each other. Because I guarantee you, no matter what you're feeling, don't keep it bottled up. There's a bunch of other people around you that are feeling the same thing, and then when they see you say it, they're going to be like, oh, thank goodness I'm not the only. And you're going to get a big humongous support group. And so that's an easy way to do it. And also, well, remember that when this all ends, it's not over.
Right.
These effects are going to linger after the quarantine ends. So we can't just phew and wash our hands of it. This is gonna take a while, and you might need therapy. You may need support groups. Keep that in mind. There's no shame in it. I see a therapist like twice a month, and I'll keep seeing one. But yeah, that these are all things that we need to do to keep ourselves mentally healthy.
And let me be clear about a couple things with the support text chat or text room that I created in my Discord. It is not because any of us are professionals and can offer that sort of level of help. It is just to give someone somewhere to vent their frustrations, to talk through their frustrations, to talk through if they're triggered and what's going on with them, where it's not in general chat. So if there are people who are barely keeping it together and don't want to see what's going on and don't want to talk about what's going on because it's too triggering for them, then they have an option to go elsewhere outside of the normal general chat to have that conversation. And the people who don't want to see it just simply don't have to go to that room. That's one reason I did it, because for me, my anxiety is fluctuating up and down in this situation, partially because of the isolation and partially because of it's just all you hear is the doom and the gloom, and that's all you hear. And there are points in time when I can have a conversation, like right now, I'm in a good headspace and we're having this conversation. I'm fine. But Mr. Sirius can tell you earlier today, he brought it up and it triggered me. And in that moment, my anxiety peaked. And I was like, uh-oh, panic mode engaged, right? So there are times when I'm okay to talk about it. And there are times when I'm like, nah, I don't really want to do this right now. I need fun and lighthearted, right? So that's why I did that.
Oh, and also
Uh,
could put
another-
on top of that. Oh, sorry, I don't mean to jump on you. I just wanted to
go ahead.
finish. Okay. Also, remember, everybody's going to be a lot more snippy than usual. So if people give you a little
I'm
bit
not.
of because like Steve can't find toilet paper, so he's probably gonna, be a little bit more on edge.
This is what
So we need to have a lot more. What do you call it? We need to be not kinder to each other. We need to be more. I am so bad with words right now.
Yeah, you need to be more
Patience and
tolerant and
understanding.
patient, of
Yeah.
each other's.
That's what junk mail's for. Look, I got junk mail. I've been eating that.
I feel like that little bit is the only thing that Steve has for a week.
Don't laugh. It's Dish Network. Fuck them.
No, just print out your haters' comments, and you can use that.
You know what?
Be a
We might
man,
able to
use
do
your
that as the next
hands.
episode. Sweet and I read some comments out last time, and people really liked it. I was like, we got.
Oh,
do
that
this
was
again.
fun. That was
fun.
fun.
That kind of stuff is a lot of
Mean
fun.
Christian comments.
It was good, lighthearted, silly ridiculousness, but at the same
Yeah.
time, touched on some really important, deep topics.
That's
It was
what I
good
was getting
balance, I
earlier
thought.
today. Yeah, it's about both, right? It's about both being like
Yeah, it
we're
was tough.
having
It was tough.
a serious conversation here, but we've also got the fun in between lulls where we're like, yeah, it's really serious. It's important that you should make sure that you talk to people so you don't get stuck in isolation, so you don't trigger any kind of anxiety that you might have, so you don't get wrapped up into, oh my god, I don't know when I'm going to be able to talk to this person again. It's a matter of being able to deal with that. We live in an age of technology. We live in an age where Sweet is in a different part of the country than Steve, and Steve is in a different part of the country than Mr. Sirius, and Mr. Sirius is in a different part of the country than Ilya, and I'm in a completely different country, and Jen is somewhere completely different from everybody. None of us are in the same place. None of us are even within walking distance of each other, or driving distance for that matter, within a day. So we live in an age where you can have these video conversations. We live in an age where things like Twitch and YouTube exist. Go explore. Go see what you can find. Don't fall into any Mario holes that go on infinitely forever downwards. Be careful, because it is still the internet. It is still dangerous. But there's people live streaming on Twitch games. If you think of, oh, I'm kind of interested in playing this game. Let me look up the game and see if there's anybody playing it live so I can see more about it, and then maybe I'll play it myself. If you want to learn something, go learn something, and you can find groups and people and forums and discords of people upon people upon people who the introverts have been building these communities for decades. Come and join us, extroverted people.
You're welcome.
The
I'm
reason
both.
that these things work, Paul, is because you take all these people from all these differing backgrounds and needs and neuroses and everything, and you put them all in the same room, and they start talking, and pretty soon the walls start to fall down, and people start sharing deeper and deeper and more honestly. And suddenly you start to have this family unlike any family you've ever been in, including the one you were born to, because the people are not there to, for the most part, make judgments and to provide scorn. They're there to provide love and companionship, because that's what they need, and so it's what they offer. Therapy works because you get to talk to somebody, and fighting the isolation is going to work because you get to talk to somebody. Get out there and do it.
Yeah, and if you need help finding anything, I'm pretty sure for the most part, the majority of us have DMs that are pretty much, there are ways to contact any of us to be like, hey, I don't know what to do. I'm interested in this thing. How do I get there? The answer is like, oh, I'm interested in crochet. I'm interested in knitting. Okay, well, 1 second. Google search Discord crocheting, and then list will come up of discords that are based around crocheting or around knitting. You can find subreddits, and from subreddits you can find forums, and from forums you can find discords, and from any of those things you can find people. There are people around, there are people to talk to, and they're a click away.
And they're usually, as I say, they're usually a lot more accepting than you might think they are. I tend to be kind of shy about stepping into a group I'm not familiar with, but I've noticed the more I kind of do insert myself in certain things, 9 times out of 10, they're just happy to have somebody else there and interested in what they're doing. They're not going to just push you away or call you an outsider, So that may happen on
Twitch.
occasion. You might come across some group that just wants their little group, but don't assume that's going to be the case. You have to take that chance.
And I definitely recommend Twitch for this. So, if you're interested in knitting, you would be surprised if you just go and search the creative tag on Twitch about the weird stuff. The origami. Oh, look, here's 50 people all watching origami. I don't know.
Well, you guys, I am going to have to hop off for the night. Thank you for inviting me, but I do have to work still in the morning, even though I'm working from home. I still have to get up and actually work.
Of
But
course.
thank you
Have a
for having
good
me.
have a
Thank
good
you for
night.
coming. Yeah.
See you,
Have a good
Maria.
night,
Thank you.
Ilya. Love you.
You
Bye-bye.
guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Now she's gone. Let's talk shit about her.
Yeah, what
Chess
the hell
didn't
was with
leave.
her
What
and
did
that
she-
other person that we don't remember because who cares?
Where did she get that
Who gives a
name?
shit?
Chess.
Where did she get that name?
Excuse me, Chess. Sorry. I don't know if you noticed what I put in the chat. I've been trying to ping you.
I'm sorry, I can't see the internal right now. Did you?
Oh,
send it to me
She's
on-
sending you private messages. She's telling
Somebody,
you.
yes. check your DMs on Twitter.
Okay, I will do
Somebody's
that.
trying to join.
Oh,
Hold
and
down
to
the fort.
add on,
I didn't
to
want
add
to
on to
interrupt
the-
too much.
to add on what Chess was saying and everybody was saying, if you have issues with trying to talk to people online, I mean, I know I have anxiety issues, and this situation is just going to peak that all the more. I'm going to need you to send me a DM on Twitter because I'm going to talk to you, and that's just the way it is. So I don't care how many of you do it. That's just the way it's going to be. You guys we're going to make a group together or something. So I am Mr. Serious on Twitter too. I'll put my Twitter thing at the end as a comment to this video, and you're just gonna have to find me. It's I'm easy to find. I'm easy to talk to. I need you to talk to me.
He's
So
just
anybody,
easy.
I'm very easy. I don't have any proof
He's a
of
cheap
that.
date, from what I understand too. So he's not high maintenance. You know, he drinks very cheap alcohol. So take him
I
out.
can't drink alcohol. That means I can be.
That's
no,
what
I
I'm
can't
saying.
even
Yeah,
be the
you're a
driver.
cheap date.
Damn.
I mean, one drink and you're dead. So
And then
don't
you can do
drink.
whatever you want with me.
If they're in a
See,
necrophilia.
he's a much better date than me already.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe I got to
Softer,
rethink
hard-
my strategy here.
Soft, Mr. Serious, soft or hard restraint?
Where do you live, Mr. Serious? I may say I'll fly to see you.
I live just south of Cincinnati, so just land in Cincinnati, drive south, you'll find me. I'm on the street.
Oh my God! Look who's here.
Look who's
Hi,
here.
honey.
Hello, lovely. Oh God, no.
Oh man. We won't let anybody in
All
here.
right,
Oh,
the
no, is
stream's
that Mikey?
over.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh jeez.
I have destroyed everything.
What have you done?
It's my fault. I had a temporary lapse in judgment and invited him. I felt bad. Yeah,
Is it because I didn't message you back right away?
I guess so. See, it's the isolation. It's getting to my brain. I'm losing it. I'm getting desperate for, attention.
She needs
and
attention,
company.
constant attention.
That's how that works.
I reached out to my well, he's my brother, so
Yeah,
He's got a green cup too. What is this?
got a
Hey,
green
that's like that's almost exactly like my green cup. Seriously, it's a little bigger though. His is
I mean,
bigger
you're
than
trying
mine.
to
That's
compare,
why-
but
Well-
nobody can see your cup, Steve.
do I need to make the obvious joke here?
Everyone's bigger
Yes,
than Steve.
do it. Do it.
Do you realize he's like 4'6",
He's black.
right?
Okay, so there's been this rumor.
That's one stereotype he's not going to deny one way or another. So it doesn't really fucking matter, does it?
Well, I guess some people know the answer to that, and some people don't. Hi.
Hi.
Hi,
I'm always-
Mikey.
It's always it's always a grenade going off every time I come into a room. It's like everyone has to get their joke in at the same time. You guys got to pace yourselves.
To be fair, this is
got-
this is the first one like this that I've even done on this channel.
She got a new. He got a new like angle for his camera. You notice that? It's like I'm gonna have to get used
Well,
to
yeah,
that.
it's the angle that he's using when he's not using the green screen. He can't use this angle if he's using the green screen because it's not going to take up enough of the space.
I don't understand what she's saying. It's like half of her message gets clipped.
Yeah, we don't hear Chesh, but the outside people can hear Chesh. So
We're
Really?
not privileged
Yeah.
enough to
Oh, it's
hear it.
because it's Discord.
There we go.
That's the equivalent of what I'm saying. Don't worry about it.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
better.
shit
I like
post.
that. That's good. Keep it there. Yeah.
Like that, Steve?
Yeah, I like that so much, dude. What are you
Hi,
drinking, by the
everyone.
way? Are you drinking alcohol?
A little bit.
Rum and Coke?
A little rum and coke, the
Nice.
huge. The
Well, it's
huge.
been so long
It's
since
a-
Steve
hey.
did a rum and coke.
We haven't
know.
talked about that yet. That's one way to get through this. Alcohol.
I apologize for that. We will be having a rum and coke coming
Sure
up.
you will.
I guarantee it because yes, it's been a while. But since we're all isolated, and I'm not going to go to the bar because, well, I think it's closed anyways now.
Accurate.
I'm gonna have a rum and coke night, and I'm gonna drink, and I'm gonna drink excessively for a change, which is about for me about 2.5 drinks.
I'll be sure to save some for that.
Is this better? Is this maybe picking me up a little bit better? I'm not sure if I'm putting this the right direction. Okay,
It's
so yeah,
better.
that was the wrong way. Is that better now?
No, you're fine now. They're being assholes.
No, I'm serious.
It was
Not
yeah.
maybe now.
It was a little bit, but it was better. It was better.
It was better, and it's not better now.
Now
No,
it's
no, it's
good.
better now. Now it's
good.
good.
Now it's good.
Okay,
Really
so
good.
yeah. All right, there we go.
Instead of the 2 bars being like this, do this.
Yeah,
So
you
Well,
want
it's
to
I'm using the Discord one.
you
It's
want to have
only-
social distancing between your bars.
Yeah.
the
You want it
slider.
to-
There's
Like
only
6
one
feet.
slider. There's only one slider on Discord.
See, I grew up
So
in
I turned the
Milwaukee,
slider
and
down, and that seemed
No,
to
no,
be
no,
the
no,
answer.
no.
the
No,
maximum
you
distance
don't have it
between
on.
bars was 1 block.
We're talking about on your threshold for your if you don't push to talk, you have mic automatic. You have a low gate and you have a high gate. You got to expand those gates out.
I feel like there is one bar.
Just spread them. That's all you got to do. Come on.
I
you need to
can't.
know how to
There's
do that by
nothing
now.
to spread.
So I
Oh,
heard.
There's always
Okay.
something to spread.
So right
She's
after
4'6". She's 4'6". There's nothing to spread. There you go.
right after input mode is input sensitivity. And it says automatically determine sensitivity.
Yeah, I turned
yours-
that off, and then it gave me one bar, and it said green,
Oh,
yellow.
Right. So maybe push yours to like where it says like the MINE of determine because it's not catching a lot of your stuff.
Yeah.
so
So
that
what I
might
did
be
was
part
I
of it.
turned it so more of it was green and less of it was
Okay
yellow.
now. Yeah, it's actually okay now.
Correct.
Okay,
That is-
fine.
so all right, cool. So we got it fixed. Probably.
We'll see.
You haven't glitched in all this time, so
You haven't glitched in seconds.
I'll take
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'll take it.
We'll let you know if it gets bad again.
But I like this format. I think I'm going to be doing this format and give it a shot for a while.
It's good, right? It basically
Good.
does what I would like Hangouts to do, but Hangouts doesn't really give you this or Meets. Meets doesn't give you this option.
Yeah,
It does
I'm
if
not a
you
big
don't have
fan of
Meets.
Google Meets.
I like Meets
I like beats too.
because it's easier to invite people. And it's easier to what's it called? Kind of like gatekeep because like if I only send out 10 links and then I have 3 people in the waiting room, they just wait, and that's good for me. But I use mine mostly for voice. The voice is a little bit better on there. The video is better on Zoom, but this seems to be pretty good with the video and the chat. So
Now
It's
this
good
isn't
in
actually in a
between.
Discord. This is a direct message thing. So this is like not in a Discord that we're in, right?
Right, we're in an individual group that
We're
I
an
created
individual
that I
thing,
was
right,
inviting
okay.
people to. So now, essentially, because I called everybody in the group, anybody who's in the group can jump in and out.
Right, but
whenever
nobody
they
else
see
can
fit.
come in unless you invite them,
Yeah, exactly. They
Although
have to
there's
be.
an upper limit of 10.
which is okay.
I mean, after 6 people, it's just people talking over each other the entire time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've had hangouts with 25 people and it was not fun.
Yeah.
Not like I was there trying to crack jokes the whole time. I would never do that.
So,
I mean, try. It's important. It's good that you try.
Mikey, did you have any advice for anybody who's stuck in essentially self-isolation that would help them deal with that?
Yes, I do have something I can add here that might actually be positive. So if you guys go to Coursera.com, there's a bunch of free like college lectures for something you might be interested in. It's 100% free. It can be as difficult or as easy as you want it to be, but it's just something fun. So I did astrophysics because cool. I want to know what the hell they're talking about. So you can figure out the transiting of exoplanets. Like that's something I'll never actually need to do, but I got it for free and it's better than YouTube. So yeah, so go find something interesting to learn
Learn
about.
something for a change, people.
That's
Go
wonderful.
learn
Yeah.
something.
Let me check that out.
Can we, what's it? Yeah, can you spell it for me and I'll type it in the chat?
COUERSA. I think it's just like Coursera. I can't remember. I haven't been there in a while. Let me find the link for you.
I don't know if I have Coursera, but I do watch the Harvard ones, the Yale ones.
Yeah, I love those.
Those are amazing. I mean, if you got nothing else you want to do and you just want to learn some stuff, go check out one of those online courses from Harvard and Yale. They're really freaking good, man.
Just
Or Stanford has some too.
As opposed to just listening to like, forgive me, but our dumbasses. Like, just go check out some like actual like crazy smart guys just giving up some free knowledge.
Go find Leonard Susskind, who teaches at Stanford. But go watch his videos on general relativity, basic quantum mechanics, physics. They are brilliant. Most of them are at least 25% you can understand. Some of them are 0% you can understand because I have no idea what the hell he's saying to some of them. But the ones that I really like are the ones that I at least glean about 25% of it. And then if I watch it again, I'll get a little bit more. They're not easy, but there are some really good videos.
The Harvard law one about justice is really good because it does like the trolley problem and a whole bunch of things, and it talks about Kant and all that stuff. Like it's a good primer. So then when you when you check out Steve's channel or somebody's channel and they're super deep into philosophy, more bells will ring for you than maybe that did previously.
Have you ever heard of a guy named John Rawls who wrote A Theory of Justice?
I'm not familiar.
The Veil of Ignorance. I actually knew his daughter, Elizabeth Rawls. She was on my Facebook for a very long time, but she never wanted to come on because she didn't want to like speak for her father, who's required reading in law school. But it was very big into the different types of retributive justice versus restorative versus reparative. And I think that all three forms of justice are in some way necessary. But I'm more of a restorative type justice person. And reparative rather than kind of retribution kind of thing. But I think one of these days we should have a whole hangout on that particular topic of different theories of justice because I find it fascinating.
I would love that. I would love that.
See, Steve, now we have something we can talk about.
Dude, we're supposed to talk about music too, but we haven't been able to do that. I mean, I've been trying to have a fucking thing on the Circle of Fifths for how long?
And now if you look, my graffiti is out in my garage that I have now. I'm in my office. I've been busy.
Yeah, I want.
Oh, look at you! You're like a man now. You're growing up, Mikey.
He's
like
my
little brother.
Professional.
Yeah.
I know. I remember he was just a little YouTube fledgling. Now look at him.
My green screen's
Someday I'll have an office too. Someday. I'm working on it.
Well, if I move, I'm gonna upgrade and I'll.
I'm getting internet tomorrow, though. I'm getting real internet tomorrow. Yes.
Yay.
This is what I'm doing in my office.
You got a nice camera.
My office.
I know. I gotta set it up.
My office.
You got a nice camera.
I can't. It's too much battery use at once right now.
I think we can sum up Mikey's advice to: you got nothing better to do. Learn yourself a thing.
Yeah.
There are lots of resources for learning on the internet, like a lot. Some of them are paid, some of them are free. You can find tutorials for, I've been bored and I've always wanted to pick up guitar and never had the time. Go find a YouTube channel that does like guitar licks. You can find a lot of resources for learning. You can go check out like
literally anything.
Mikey's got a channel, I've got a channel, Steve's got a channel, Sweet and I are on shows, Mr. Serious pops in all the time. Whatever, Steve. Mikey does gaming.
Soon to be 3.
Jenny shows up all over the place. So like you can
Jenny
go find
gets around.
You can find
us some scotch. She gets around.
Yeah, so you can find us and you can look for different things and different stuff to do. There's a lot to keep yourself occupied.
Give that girl some roller skates.
Just think of me as a pass-around pack.
Ooh. We live in the age of online where people are connected no matter what. So you are not alone. You're not really as isolated as you may think you are.
And besides, the government's already listening to you.
Yeah, there you go. You can always just
never alone.
Open up Notepad and start typing to your designated FBI agent.
There you go.
So
Agent Smith.
If we're ready, the next topic was the changes to the environment because of all of the shutdowns. So what do you guys think? You think having so many people being sick and so many people isolated and not going out and not going to working factories has been good or bad for the environment?
We've seen it.
Well, I think
Oh
very
no,
supportive
we've
of my
seen it.
theory.
No,
The theory
I
I've
believe
had,
this.
the theory I've had for a bunch of. I'm older than you, Steve. Watch it.
Like Jenny, speak.
The theory I've had for a long time is that we need to exterminate about half the planet's population.
Well, you know,
this
it's
answer
so
is
funny
yes.
that you say that. You know, viruses and bacteria are nature's way of doing that, of culling,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's a natural progression in order to be had when, and again, I'm not like, oh, Steve's advocating people die. No, but there is a thing for where people are the sick and the infirmed and things like that. That's why they're more susceptible to viruses, right? Because viruses kill off people that are, you know, and so you have these pandemics that occur, and it does cull. And of course, we wish they would never happen. Obviously, there are ways of getting around overpopulation, but overpopulation is a big thing. And as you have overpopulation, you have sickness increases for that very reason that culls them back down, and there's a balance to be had. But I don't think it's going to have any impact on the environment, because I do believe we're at the tipping point. I believe that probably we're slightly over the tipping point. I don't think we can recover from global warming at this point. I don't think anything we did is going to have an effect.
Go ahead, Mikey. You're probably going to say what I'm going to say.
No, I won't. But I won't forget. I'll write it down.
Yes, okay. Speak. So go ahead and speak for Sweet there. You know, be a man. Go ahead.
I mean, you already talked over her, so I figured I'd give her my spot since you already jumped all over hers.
Look at that. No, I was going to say they actually showed that in China. They showed the pollution before and after the lockdowns, and the pollution cleared up exponentially. It was incredible. It's the breathing quality has already improved to a point of, in theory, you don't need a mask to go outside to breathe the air, other than to protect yourself from the virus. But people who were wearing masks before to protect themselves from pollution wouldn't need to right now.
Yeah, but that's short term. I'm talking about long
term. It
term.
is, but this is like, it's what she's talking about the environment, like how she's saying people who aren't working in factories, who aren't doing these things, if these things aren't in production, does it have an impact on the environment? The answer seems to be yes, because if we continue to not operate this way, those short-term effects would continue, because it would just be the new norm. I don't know if I'm not saying it's practical, but it's just showing that these things are contributing to problems.
Well, I mean, if you're just talking about short-term environmental effects, sure, but I'm more referring to long-term.
And even in the long term, for me, it just kind of displays how much work we really have to do, because I don't buy the whole overpopulation thing. I just think we suck at managing how we live our day-to-day lives now.
Managing resources. I agree with
you.
Like,
we're super wasteful, and for like, because what if you stacked everybody at the same population density as New York, everyone would fit into Texas. But we keep saying we're overpopulated. No, we're just wasteful and we're greedy, and we're not great at utilizing everything to its fullest potential, because there's no reason that we're not doing better, other than the fact that if it was profitable for everything to be 100% green all the time, then we would have it already. But it's not profitable. It's profitable to do it the sloppy, cheap, messy, poisonous pollution way. That way is profitable. The smart, intelligent way is not.
Right.
So it just shows that we have a lot further to go than maybe we thought we did. And and thank you for listening to my TED Talk.
Yeah, no, I think I agree. There's I'm going to liken this to video games. I enjoy playing resource management games. And one of the first things I like to do in a resource management game is get everything to a point
kill the competition. Sorry.
Kind of. Get to the point where your base or your area is self-sustaining. So it doesn't need to take in resources to maintain itself. And then once it gets self-sustaining, that's when you start growing it bit by bit, piece by piece, to that way you can start adding things that, well, I didn't need this wasn't essential, but it's, look, now all of my little guys have showers and they have a more cleaner environment. But the only reason they can have that is because I've got a thing set up so I can cycle the entire water, so I don't need to go out and find new water. I just have gray water essentially in a cycle large enough that they can now have that benefit. So essentially in that regard, we have a lot of people, we have a lot of resources, and we have a lot of space, and those people are all spread out. But because we aren't working together and because we aren't managed in a way, we're too busy competing about shit that doesn't really matter very much, that we're not managing our resources in a way that is beneficial on a whole.
Right. Like, I think the competition speaks to most of it, because if you like, I try to think of things through like a futurist lens or a humanist lens. So it's like, the sun's going to go. What do people do then?
We have like 5 billion years before we have to worry about that.
Okay. How long is it going to take us to make a plan?
We're going to be long extinct in 5 billion years. It won't be humans. We're doomed to die out.
Right. Well, then why don't we start working on ships to get the fuck out of here?
We got dude, billions of years. I mean, come on, we got time. That's not a high priority.
Do we have time?
Procrastination is our MO.
But do we have time?
Yes.
Not we got what? How many years until we fucked up this planet to the point where we're not going to be able to get somewhere else when we need to get
50 to 100.
Yeah, so fucking strike while the iron's hot.
Well, I think
the point is it's going to take a long time to figure out interstellar travel. So if we start now, we'll already have it in the bag. But if you start applying that to things that are already a problem, so if we're going to talk about like population growth or let's say food resources, there are a lot of people around right now that are currently starving. There are a lot of people not getting vaccines where they should, and there are a lot of people who don't have condoms when they really should have them. Well, why don't they have them? Why are we not managing our resources in a way that like homelessness and people starving from food are the most asinine problems that have the easiest fixes that we could do with just remanaging resources.
It's called bootstraps. They're provided with bootstraps. So.
Oh, right.
It's called not capitalism.
Right. It's a matter of, it takes time, it takes energy, and it takes people not being greedy pieces of shit to not take advantage of, oh, I'm going to buy up all the toilet paper because I have enough money right now, so I could take advantage of people who don't have the money right now and sell it for profit.
Well, there was something about the toilet paper thing I wanted to say, but I didn't say it, but now the topic has come back up, so now I want to say it. I think when it comes to the toilet paper thing, I'm not sure if there's that many douchebags out there. My thought is, because I try to give everybody the best benefit of the doubt as humanly possible, is that there are a very few douchebags. And then there's people out there who are like, oh crap, those people who are going to be buying up all the toilet paper. That means not only do I need to buy the 1 month's worth, I got to buy 2 months worth because those douchebags are going to make sure
so they become douchebags.
It's a snowball effect. Yeah. It's contagious. They say the panic is more contagious than the virus. It's sad.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be what's happening.
Especially in areas where, like you said, yes, there might be some carrier, there might be a chance, but still, there's no need to panic in an area where there hasn't been a single case. Why do you need 6 months? I don't think that's makes sense to me.
Well, again, it's because they could have a national lockdown. It doesn't matter if you have confirmed cases. It's if they decide to tell everybody to have a quarantine or a curfew, all this stuff, that it'll affect the whole country. So regardless of how many confirmed cases you have, people still are scared. They're still concerned about that. It doesn't matter if it really makes sense or if they're...
And where does fear come from? It usually comes from ignorance. People don't really know what's going on, or people don't really know enough. They're not educated enough. And that doesn't mean that they're not listening to the government. That doesn't mean they're not listening. It means they might be listening too much. But it's a matter of like education the way to fix the majority of problems in any country and any resource management problems is get people that are better at managing resources. And how do you get that? Education. The answer is education. If you took even 5% of the military budget in America and you shoved that all, just 5%, all of it into education, do you have any idea the boom that would happen in America? I have 2 super chats before people answer. Res Instance for 2 said, where my Star Trek reality at? That happens after World War III. You need to calm down. Kawasa for 5 also said, if everyone is as small as Chesh, it would have the same effect as the Earth getting larger.
Do you realize though, if every house had a bidet, we wouldn't have to worry about toilet paper?
Bidets are great. I think that
when I was growing up, we had a condo. There was a bidet in the master bedroom, and I was like, I think I moved there when I was 6, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I remember looking at it as a kid, going, this is the weirdest toilet I've ever seen in my life. But
and then he pooped in it.
Then I was like, then I realized what it's for, and I'm like,
there's an argument that we really don't need toilet paper at all.
But to answer
you got fingers.
Rez's question,
you would still need to dry off after a bidet.
I was gonna say, how do you dry off?
You can use a towel for that. You don't need to use paper.
So,
right?
Air.
Wait.
Air out. You just air out.
How long you can air out? Yeah.
I don't know. I lived
air
out over like 15 years. Like I never used it.
No.
I have no fucking idea.
You guys know how a bidet works, right?
The general idea.
Okay, so it's pressurized. It's pressurized water that cleans your butt.
I don't want to wake up like that.
Also, I don't know that it
really does.
Don't knock it till you try it. Don't knock it till you try it.
But yeah, but
I've used them before. I don't. The thing is that I dried off after. Like there's paper there. It's just that you didn't flush it down the thing. It's like
you would have the hot water.
You dry and then you throw it
scalding, burning
in the
hot
trash.
water coming out of it.
I do like hot
water on my ass right in the morning.
That'll wake you up.
I prefer hot over cold.
What about blow dryers? You got hair dryers, right? Use a hair dryer on your butt.
But to answer Rez's question, there actually is a theory. It's called the Alcubierre metric. He's a Mexican PhD in physics. I'm sure there's a better way to pronounce his name, but there's actually a metric out there that actually, in theory, could do warp drive. And the way it works is it expands space-time in front of you, contracts in the back of you, and basically, or the other way, and then you basically
instead of you moving, it moves space for you.
Yeah, so you can actually go faster than the speed of light. You're not
Alcubierre.
Alcubierre, yeah, is that how you pronounce it? Alcubierre?
I think so.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's
Don't ask Steve to roll R's; he can't do it.
Right. Again, I understand the concepts. I can't pronounce certain things, but the metric does seem to work. I mean, in theory, but the problem is that you need negative energy pressure for it, and we haven't discovered that yet. So
NANA for 666 said, "We don't deserve this planet. We deserve extinction."
I don't believe that.
Tough to argue.
Who is we?
Deserve extinction.
Yeah.
I mean, we are the dominant species, but
I think
That's a
we
good
as
question.
everybody. I'd say that we as everybody who doesn't think they're part of we. Like if you understand that concept, if you get it, then you're probably not one of those people. But
can I?
I mean, if you don't die out, what the hell is the planet's going to do? I mean, it's just going to sit here and eventually die. As a sun.
As we all do anyway, Steve. What does it matter?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Into nihilism here. I mean, we can have a whole
Hold on. Let's listen careful. Steve's gonna make the Matt Dillahunty argument of you're missing all the important stuff in between.
Yeah, first of all, I'm not a nihilist. If anything, I'm kind of getting into absurdism a little bit. But Jess is right. We do need to go to other planets, but this Earth will eventually be gone too. But hopefully, we'll find another planet screwed up.
That wasn't me. That was Mikey.
Okay, well, Mikey's
the
Earth
parasites we are, right? Yeah.
I agree with Mikey, but
can we take it with us?
What?
The planet?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
become a 5-level civilization, sure.
Theoretically, I guess there would be more than one way to solve the problem. If the problem is that the planet is in a dangerous position, then theoretically a way to solve that problem would be to move the planet. Yeah, sure.
Light sails.
What if
Give me a
we
place
just
to stand and a lever, and I shall move the world.
we'll just get a solar sail and we'll just tool around on Earth.
You don't
even have to move your
Do you
house.
realize though? Do you realize, and this is true, every time SpaceX sends up a rocket, it moves the Earth a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Same thing with the grasshopper jumping.
So do the farts on Thanksgiving evening.
Oh God, yeah, those are
Fart
definitely some earth
propulsion.
shakers.
You guys don't remember.
shakers.
You guys don't remember back in the day when we had somebody in the community named Arcane Logos who actually believed that birds flew by farting.
I'm
Hey,
sure
those
it
flat
Oh.
earthers, I'll believe anything.
Yeah, it was called the bird fart propulsion method. He was,
Are you
of course,
sure that wasn't a Poe?
No, he was just an idiot. I mean, he's a younger creationist, was what I tell you.
And if I cough, I'm sorry in advance.
We got you're gonna give us
Fine,
all of the
we're-
you're gonna give us
And a flat earther,
all
too.
the flu.
I'm
Okay,
over
David
here
Thompson
practically in
also
quarantine.
sorry, David Thompson also said, please mention handheld bidets cost $40 at the local home improvement.
Handheld.
Isn't that just like a shower thing?
Yeah, shower.
Just get a water gun, like a super soaker,
Like a
and
su-
just
Well,
Let's get one of those
you're-
high
so you're
pressure
sitting
things.
up
I take it
there.
off paint.
So you're
No,
sitting
I
on the
just-
toilet, going to the bathroom, pumping the
yeah, if you're a
As
girl,
you're-
you just go
as
on
you're
ice.
going-
Bulge out.
Lord.
Now,
Again,
see, you
I
guys,
don't want to wake up like this.
you guys
Like when I
are-
wake up, I'm stumbling around. I haven't had my coffee, and I have to manage a handheld bidet.
Good morning. So
Now, see, you
Steven,
guys are talking about some like archaic, like Super Soaker 5000 with the backpack attachment. You could just have like a small foot pump with a
Steven
little
Cup-
bellows on it.
Listen
I
to what you
would so
people are
trip
talking
on
about, and you
have
wonder
a
why
what?
people hoarded toilet paper. Oh my God.
Steven
have a
Cup
little-
of Reason.
Obsessed with poop.
Steven Cup of Reason asked, if you move the Earth, how will we prevent freezing over into extinction without the sun following us?
Well, you don't have to move it very far sometimes. I mean, if the sun is expanding or as it becomes a red giant, we could actually just, in theory, move it further and further away. And then as it started going back smaller, we would have to move the Earth.
Oh, you're overthinking that. Just keep farting in different directions. So you move away a little bit, and then you move towards it the other time.
Just fart in unison.
Are we gonna go with the ALF
to the north.
solution, where we all turn our hair dryers on at the same time and explode the planet?
I mean, it's worth a shot.
Apparently, it looks like a
When
kitchen.
the-
Apparently,
when
it
the
looks like a
sun-
kitchen sink sprayer, not a shower head.
When our yellow sun turns to a red giant, are we all gonna have superpowers?
I will.
That'd be neat.
Probably.
I'll be able to see in the dark.
Yeah, we'll all be long dead by then.
Y'all will.
That's what you think, yeah.
I'll have superpowers.
Me and Mikey are gonna live forever. I don't know what you guys are
Yeah, how
talking
dare
about.
you?
Let's see how science goes.
Which brings me to the point I wanted to try to make here. I was an old hippie. Well, I was a young hippie. Now I'm an old hippie. And back in the 60s and 70s and stuff, we learned about things like pollution and how we were absolutely fucking up the earth through pollution by capitalists and their piggish nature and stuff. And we all banded together, and Senator Gaylord Nelson created Earth Day, and we were also, oh man, we got this dicked, man. We're gonna whip this. We're gonna change this fucking world. We're gonna make everything so much better. It's gonna be a goddamn utopia. We're gonna get rid of this greed of capitalism. We're gonna make sure that everybody eats, that everybody's educated, that everybody's happy. We can do it. We're the hippies. It didn't work because there weren't enough of us. Just like in the youngest generation now, who sounds exactly like we did then. Exactly. There's not enough of them either. And the same percentage of them are going to corrupt and become greedy and capitalist and uncaring and willing to steal and destroy the planet for their own benefit. And until we learn that lesson, and until we change those people and that dynamic, we don't have a hope in hell of surviving the next 100 years.
Well, it also doesn't help that half of the hippies cut their hair and became lawyers and started locking up everybody for doing the same drugs that they used to.
Yeah,
do.
goddamn hypocrites.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly her point. Yeah, that's a point she's making. And I think that's a really good point to make, because there's so many people who think that, oh, well, all the old people are dying off. Those ideas will die with them. But they don't, because people who are younger do pick up things from their parents. They do pick up these certain things. It really isn't an age thing. And yes, there are more people who are younger that are, more liberal or have these like new progressive ideas and have, want to do away with all these bad ideas. But they're not, like you said, they're not enough. And I don't think people really understand that. I think that's a really great point. And definitely a whole other conversation to have. Because there is a real attitude out there that people say, well, once all the old people die off, everything will be all right. And I'm not that convinced that that's true.
I can't tell you how many times in the last 2 weeks I've heard young people, and when I say young people, I'm talking people, let's group it just generally between, say, 16, 17 and 30, maybe even as high as 35. Say things like just what you said. I can't wait till those boomers are dead. This is going to wipe out the boomers. This virus. Oh, great.
Oh, that's awful.
So sad when you say that.
Wait another 20 years.
People
Hey,
I just want to say, as a millennial, do not support. Do not support.
Same
At all.
millennial.
Jen,
same.
No, I need to finish this.
No, let her say it.
A minute. And the day before or the 2 days before, those exact same people were looking me in the virtual eye and saying, "Oh, I love you. You're such a wonderful person." All that stuff. But now that I realize you're a boomer, you should fucking die. It's like, wait a minute, you little asshole.
Yeah, asshole.
Mine's a generation that
Listen here, you little shit.
that created the fucking computer that you use.
Get off my lawn.
Jen, can I make a prediction?
Crap.
Sorry.
Jen, can I make a prediction?
Go ahead.
Next 20 years, Logan's Run.
Like Logan Paul?
No, Logan's
Oh
Run.
God, I hope not.
It's gonna happen, man.
Well,
30 years,
so,
turns red, carousel, done.
Listen, that's all I needed. A cock
Cock
carousel?
Oh boy.
So now I have an excuse to put Logan Paul in the tags and the thumbnail as well as a cock carousel. Yeah,
Perfect.
Millions of views.
I'm just saying that I have spent my life not losing my hippie values and voting socialist for the last fucking 45 years, and caring about the environment and having as small as a footprint as I could for all of these years, not just since it became popular, and to be equated to
Before
a
it was
Jamie
cool.
Dimon or to some prick like a Jeff Bezos. It just literally tears my heart out. We are not them.
So
We
I think
are not the greedy fucks.
Yep.
Take it out on the right people, will you?
It's
I
at
think there's-
ageism. It's at being ageist, and assuming that because you're a certain age, you have certain ideals. That's ridiculous.
I think there's an issue of we need to stop focusing on the individual because we all know people are going to be the problem. Period. People are always the problem. We're the worst. People are the problem, and we need
Remove
to
the people. I agree.
Right, exactly. No, we need to make
Down with
Protect.
people. Down with people.
Eugenics,
Down with
there you
people.
go.
we need to make it
Return Earth to its splendor
minute.
and remove the humans.
This is
We
why
need-
I hope
Climate
Cheshire
change
never
is
runs for
not destroying the
politics.
planet.
Oh, you
Climate change is
kidding?
destroying
I was
human-
talking
human
to my
existence.
grandmother the other day, and she was telling me she would vote for me.
I would.
Grandmas are supposed to say that.
Look at what we have. Look at what we have. We'll take you, Josh.
Thanks. I mean,
She can't
compared
run
to
for
a
president.
Cheeto, I
She's
guess
not
I'm doing
born
all
here.
right.
But hey,
Well, I mean,
you need a
naturally,
VP.
we seem to be so inherently competitive. I don't know how we're going to overcome this without evolving that character trait out of our DNA or something.
Well,
I mean,
okay,
we're
so I
inherently
agree.
competitive,
That's exactly
tribals.
what I was getting at. So what we need to do is, because people are always going to be the problem, what we need to do is realize that we're the problem, not just a generation, not just an age group, not just the people of a race or a creed or a religion or a type. We need to realize that people have an inherent issue because they're human beings, because all humans are fucking humans, that there are going to be these issues, and it'll be more pronounced in some than others, and we need to start writing policies in place to counteract and account for those traits and those issues that human beings are just going to have as a species.
Yeah, we've got to legally mind hack this shit. Like, we've got
Essentially,
to,
yeah.
I don't know, bring everybody to see that we're all the same tribe or something. I don't even know if that's possible.
I don't
But
know.
if we could get people to see each other as being in the same tribe, maybe they'd stop competing with each other. But that might be just a big
I
line
think
of
competition
kumbaya.
is okay, but it needs to be healthy competition, and the competition needs to have rules and regulations. So it's just a matter of having regulations and rules that are appropriate for not just an individual and not just a certain group, but for human beings. So if we know that humans are going to be greedy, and we know that people are going to try and get around taxes, we close the loopholes and we work to work ahead of those issues. The same way that Google will hire somebody who hacked their system to be like, yeah, no, tell me how you did this. I will give you billions of dollars to tell me how you did this so we can close this problem.
Yeah,
But we
nice
don't view it
try,
as a
Google.
problem.
You're not getting me. Nice try, Google. You're not getting me that easy. Yeah, come on in for an interview. There's no cops here. Fuck you. I'm not falling for that. Not again. Not again. Fool me once.
Do you guys remember those stories of cops sending out things saying, "Hey, you won this prize. Come on into the
Yeah.
Oh, that worked a
to
lot.
get arrested."
That was great.
Well,
Dumbass.
I don't care what happens as
Supreme
long
Court
as I don't
has
have to go back
determined
to
that
prison.
Cops can lie. I mean, they can lie about anything they want.
Yeah.
Yep,
Well-
it's called a soft approach.
There's a line. I mean, entrapment's a thing, but there's a line. Yeah, but there's a lot they
thin
can get
blue
away
line.
with.
To answer Cheshire's issue, I don't think that can happen until like the pay loop in politics ends, where the
Yes,
people
yes,
who are
absolutely.
writing the policy aren't the same people who are paying to fund the campaigns of people who they get elected
Exactly.
to help them write their policies.
That's exactly one of the policies that I'm talking about. One of the human nature greed type things. Exactly. There needs to be policies put in place where that cannot happen. Right? Where we need to more education is essentially still going to be the answer because people aren't educated about politics. They're not.
Well, is there can anyone in this room think of a good reason for a lobbyist?
No.
Yeah, on a
I
business
can, but-
level.
A good reason for a lobbyist as a citizen.
Absolutely not, no. Unless I'm a really rich citizen with a business.
Yeah, because I can't find a justifiable way of keeping them in a society that actually gives a fuck about the people inside of the society.
Well,
I agree.
I could say this as maybe every my marginalized group should get like one lobbyist to let people know maybe you don't know what's going on in this community, but let me tell you. But I think it should be like a majority one lobbyist per group. At the very most. I mean, we have some businesses who have like more lobbyists than there are senators. It's freaking ridiculous.
Well, that's a different kind of lobbyist. You're talking about somebody who would be an advocate, not a lobbyist.
Yeah.
Lobbyists are literally just representatives of a company whose sole purpose is just to influence their Congress people to weaken legislation and weaken regulations so that the parent company can make even more money.
Who decides who's the marginalized group? Am I a marginalized group?
I'm marginalized.
Transgender, or is that
No.
guy over there who's calling for the absolutely erasure and execution of all LGBTQ people on the face of the earth marginalized because no one listens to him?
I feel like it would. The argument would be
According to them, they would be,
whatever whatever's considered the protected class. So a Nazi would not be considered a protected class, but somebody
they are.
for some kind of maybe in America they are, not in Canada.
Germany, they're not.
It's
Yeah,
a
in
little
Germany,
it's a
they're
little
not.
wishy-washy here. It's a little wishy-washy here.
There would be a gray
Very
area.
good people on both sides.
It would depend on what you're talking about. If you're talking about civil rights, then there's like a big difference between a lobbyist for a company or somebody who's going to advocate for a group. Anybody who has any group should have some kind of advocacy. It doesn't matter whether you agree with them or not. Unfortunately, when you get to free speech and stuff like that, yes, it does mean that the Nazi does get to say what they want to say in the center square without repercussions from the government. That does not mean that people have to platform them. That does not mean they get to go on CNN. That does not mean any of those. Mikey, go ahead.
So the critical case there is Citizens United. And from the Wikipedia page, Citizens United v. Federal Election Commission is a landmark United States Supreme Court case concerning campaign finance. The court held that free speech clause of the First Amendment prohibits the government from restricting independent expenditures for political communications by corporations, including nonprofit corporations, labor unions, and other associations. Literally, you can bribe politicians. It is the law.
Yep.
And it's
You
considered
are
free
allowed.
speech.
It is their money is technically free speech according to the Supreme Court.
And a corporation is a human being, and both of those have to change as soon as freaking possible.
And there's a difference between the Canadian laws and the American laws. Canadian law still allows for minor amounts, but everything has to be on above board. You're not allowed anything below board, and you're only allowed certain amounts. So I would recommend, because making extreme changes, like to take it all the way at once, is usually not the best way to go about making changes like that. But if America took steps in that direction rather than just trying to annex it outright, that might be a good way of going about it, but I'm not sure. And also from Landon, we got 5 Canadian dollars that says, "This is a great chat, lots of laughs." Thanks. I just want to make sure you missed that.
I have a question about that, though. We have a system where basically we have people funding the government to cater to themselves, and they're going to keep funding it. So therefore, it's going to be like, there's going to be the guy they want to run and the guy they want to run against him. They're the ones who have the money to run. Nobody else does. And in our current system, basically nobody else can win. So when that's your system, what's the first step that you take to try to change things?
I don't
think, because why would anybody vote for somebody or put somebody in that's going to get rid of their ability to do that? Yeah.
And it's the same thing as term limits, right? Because no one's gonna run on a platform of term limits. Where it's like, I would like to run for 1 term, and I want everyone else to run for 1 term. Like, they're not gonna say that. So what it has to turn into is a bunch of people primarying incumbents, so that this is the new norm. And I don't like to pick a side, because fuck all y'all in DC except for my bae AOC. How you doing, girl?
She is pretty great.
She is amazing. They all gotta go, because I'm sorry, even people who have been in DC for 30, 40 years, you've had 30, 40 years to fix all of these problems that all of us younger people are finding with your system. And I don't hear you doing or saying shit. Or as soon as you realize that you're not able to change it and you can't sway votes the way that you wanted to, you didn't leave, you just stayed. Cool.
Never doubt that a small group of committed individuals cannot change an entire system. This is a paraphrasing. Indeed, that's the only way it has ever worked. Margaret Mead. You have to make change from the bottom up. You have to go after the grassroots. You want to know why the Republicans have the power they have today? It's because they started going after school boards. And then they went after aldermen. And then they went after county supervisors. They went after state reps and state senators and governors. And finally, congressmen and senators, and now the orange ass in charge.
Well,
you have to change from within, and it has to start at the bottom. And if you don't get people involved for the long run game, the problem with America being a 3 to 4 month attention span politically,
less than that,
it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen.
Whenever, or in my life, whenever a record-setting amount of people have voted in a presidential election, a Democrat has won, and that's how it's always been, or got the popular vote.
Well, hold on. Trump didn't win the popular vote.
He's not talking. Yeah,
he thinks he did.
He really is. He is.
Well,
convinced.
he's talking about.
He
He's
is
talking
convinced.
about record numbers, right? Specifically.
Have you seen his crowd sizes?
I thought he just.
They're huge. They're
the size of
the
His
hugest
crowd size
sizes.
looks kind of like
So do I.
Toad from Mario.
His crowd sizes match his hand size. Sorry, I interrupted.
My hypothesis is we got a lot of ground roots campaigns that I've actually been a part of, and all of them have either fizzled or they're fizzling, like a Rice Krispies bowl in the background. But what I see is that it's apathy that keeps these people in power. The lack of voting is why we have the people in charge today that are in charge. I think the more people who vote, the more accurate that the Senate and the House and the presidency would reflect on what the American people actually want. And I doubt that it would be a majority red anything.
And the way you fix that, but the way you fix voting numbers is through education. You have to educate people about how their government works. You have to educate people on the policies that do exist, and you need to educate people to the point that they actually understand the way the government functions to even start to make any change on it.
But that's just the thing.
Educate who?
More people voted against Trump than for Trump. But when you have a system that is based on the fucking electoral college from the fucking farm days, idiots can win.
Right.
And idiots win reliably. It isn't just sometimes they win. If there are very few actually red states, but when you can redline shit and gerrymander shit, like, people who don't deserve the representation get it. And I think a lot of people get jaded by the process, but when they vote, they fucking take off work or they sit in a line for fucking 2 hours and they fucking cast their vote and they vote, and then their person gets more votes than the other person, and that person still loses. And then they try to hit you with a fucking hour-long discussion about what the electoral college is and how important it is for America being No, fuck that. That's bullshit. You know what? Fuck it. Y'all ain't gonna fucking count my vote anyway.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. It's not just about education. Yes, that's important, but the motivation is a big factor. And people are I've noticed since I've been paying attention since I was a kid, it seems every election, less people believe their vote matters. And it's because of things that happen, like with Trump. It's like, it's really disheartening for a lot of people.
It's because the ignorance of the voting population has gotten so out of balance with the intelligent end of the voting population. I mean, there's this Jimmy Kimmel clip going around in Twitter right now where they take a world map, okay? There's no countries designated, just continents. It's like kind of like a Mercator projection map, where we're used to seeing the North America on the left side and Europe and Asia on the right side. They flipped them. So now Asia's on the left side and North America's on the.
They don't even flip it. They just rotate the Earth a bit.
Yeah. They just moved it. Okay, and then they ask people, pick out a country, pick out any country you want. And people were pointing to India and saying Australia, and pointing to Australia and saying India, or pointing to Africa and saying Asia, or pointing to the United States and saying it's Europe. And it's people are so freaking ignorant. And of course, it's not everybody. And
those are the ones buying all
the stupid ones.
Those are the ones
these
buying
people
all the
vote.
Those are the ones buying all the
exactly.
That's why I am hardline. The solution is education, and I literally mean the education of as many people as possible. Fix the education system. Civics should not be a joke course. Civics should not be a half a semester, let's all sit around in a stupid civics class. You should be doing civics in grade 7 all the way to grade 12, and you should be involved in campaigns. You should be involved in what's going on in your local and what's going on in your provincial. You should know these things. You should know these laws. They don't even teach the law, like the basic laws, like how much of this, what is the ticket expectation for this, what is the rule for what property this. They don't teach that shit. Failed in engineering for 199 said spoiler alert sticker, and failed in engineering for 2 said #gerrymandering. Hi Manya.
Hi, Manya.
Hi Manya.
Hi, Manya.
Hi
Manya.
I live in Kentucky, and we just recently, a few months ago, had an election with Matt Bevin. He was going up against Bashir.
Mitch McConnell.
And, well, not that yet.
How does Mitch McConnell still a thing?
You see,
because turtles live a very long time.
Mr. Serious.
Hey, I don't want to get just sidetracked. I might forget where I was going.
Oh,
sorry.
But people getting educated would not help, like, people voting in this state. It's people being an idiot that hurts. Those are the people who do vote. We have more stupid ass people in the state that vote than educated people who vote. I think it's the educated, the overeducated. I think they're lacking at the polls, and the stupid people rush to the polls.
I'm not talking about overeducation, right? Overeducation is relative to whatever field you're in. What I'm talking about is bring up the entire average. So then you don't, the stupid people who are the ones rushing to vote are still at least somewhat educated about the issues. They're not just empty vessels that are being abused by whoever is more intelligent than they are.
So here's the one difference. Maybe there's the difference between Canada and America. Even if, like let's take Illinois for example. So Illinois has Chicago, Springfield, the capital, a little bit of people in Rockford, and then a little bit towards the south. It could still go red, even though all of the large.
Yeah, that's a gerrymandering issue. Yeah.
Right. So without the gerrymandering fixed, without the bullshit caucusing, which kind of push out candidates in the electoral college, literally all of the smart people can vote and still lose.
Right. So that I agree. So what I'm saying is that you can't fix the gerrymandering issue unless you have people who are intelligent enough to vote in a way with people who will fix that. Because there are going to be politicians, there are going to be people who do care enough about, at least initially when they start, that are going to actually move to make those changes. But you're not in a position to vote those people in because of, you've got a weird conglomerate problem where the system is causing its own problem, which is compounding onto the system itself. And the only way you can fix that is by having people that are educated enough, and there's enough of those educated people to know how to maneuver voting. And you have to be able to maneuver voting in a way that is like, oh, well, I'm voting for this election, but not really. I'm actually voting for the next election by choosing these people now. This isn't really what I want, but I'm willing to make that compromise. You're also struggling with an issue where you've got a two-party system where you're literally never getting anything done because you've got two sides just constantly pounding at each other, being like, well, I'm not going to let you guys do anything, and fuck you, I'm not going to let you guys do anything. And you're not, like, the government is not doing anything because they're too busy worried about their own parties to actually give two shits about the country.
I blanked out. I blanked out after he said constant pounding.
So I'm not the only one. All right.
They care about their own necks and their own pocketbook. The politicians we have are so self-serving, it's ridiculous.
But again, I mean, this is another example of just human competition being what it is. And now it's at the highest levels of government. They can't even reach across the aisle to get anything.
Yeah, that's why I was saying that you need to build in fail-safe so that doesn't happen, like, you know, having more than two parties. Right now, there are two main parties in Canada, but there's kind of three. But maybe if one of them doesn't do well, there's kind of four, right? So at every point, you utilize that competition to your advantage, because it's one of the good things that human beings have. We are competitive. So if you take, like, oh, hey, here's these two parties, but if one of them fucks up a little bit, there's another one right there to take their place. But if these two are...
We're back to lobbyists.
But if these two... Right, but if these two are having an issue with each other, but neither of them have a majority, now whoever is in charge has to work with these other existing parties to get the number that they need to not be stopped by that party. There's maneuvering that needs to go on, and you have to be intelligent to be able to do it. And so there are people in Canada who will vote like, I don't really like the NDP party, but I don't think that my candidate is good enough to win, so I'm actually going to vote NDP this year, so that way there's more NDP seats, so that way my party can actually work with that party to do that, this, that, and the other thing. There's more to it, right?
So Manya said, did I have a Mr.? And I was like, new channel, who's this? It's like, it's Manya, you forgot her. I'm like, yeah, I know.
If you forget Manya,
I guess she doesn't have that
Manya
expression down in her area down under there.
So we kind of got distracted with
new
politics.
Channel, who dis?
We kind of got distracted with the politics to the point where I'm going to have to change the name of the stream because we didn't actually talk about any of the environment stuff. But is there anything...
I thought we got distracted from bidets, but...
We talked
a little bit about the environment.
Let's talk more about squirting stuff in their ass.
So
the whole thing doesn't go in there, Jen. Jesus, read the... How are you going to turn it off?
Oh
How are you
no!
gonna turn it off?
Clench at the right angle. That's how you turn it off.
Instructions unclear. Dick stuck in toaster. Please advise.
So I think what we should do to wrap it up a little bit, because we're getting close to the
Clenching
2-hour
just makes
mark.
it better.
Ooh.
Wrap
So
it
what we
up.
should do to wrap it up a little bit
Always
is
wrap it up.
Just wrap it up.
is there anything wrap it before you tap it? Is there anything that has come from this isolation that do you think will help either A, move politics, B, help move environment, things that are positive or negative, into the positive or into the negative? Do you think that maybe extroverts will understand introverts a little bit more, or is there anything that's going to be socially positive or politically positive or environmentally positive to come from the results of this negative thing happening?
I think older generations will appreciate the younger generation's appreciation for games. Because I've heard so many people, you young people and your video games, it's for kids. And I think that them being stuck inside, I think they'll discover what some of the draw is. But I know that's not what you had in mind, Shesh.
No, that's great. That's perfect.
That's good.
I hope that this is going to create a sense of unity amongst the population. I would like to see people, even though Trump is fucking this up absolutely royalty, if you look closely, you'll see that the government is moving around him and putting together things around him. And I hope people are going to be able to see that is going on, that there are true professionals who really know what they're doing in government, and can do a good job. That the government is not the evil bastard. Okay, politicians are, not the government. And that together we can get more done than if we call each other names.
Yeah.
Everybody's houses will be clean.
I'm waiting for the first death for the last roll of toilet paper on the shelf. That's what I'm waiting for.
Yeah, the fights are happening. I think that it's really good. I think that as much as there are a handful of assholes doing assholish things, there are more people. More people that are discussing that bad behavior and calling out bad human beings for being bad human beings. I think that's a really good thing. I want to see more of that and just keep that momentum, because, I mean, for every video that shows people fighting over toilet paper, there are thousands of people calling that horrible and sharing that and just publicly shaming those people. And I think that needs to just happen more often. And I like seeing it.
Shame.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
some
be that
people are
way.
just
Be better.
immune to it.
Oh, I'm sorry. What is it? Be best. Be best. Yeah.
So we got,
I guess I'll go.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so like it says, Cheris was saying about the games. I think that also is going to apply to just internet in general. I keep hearing that like young people on their phones all the time, and I honestly think that is going to save people's mentality over this. If you're stuck in your home and you're staring at your phone, you probably have the best chance to survive this with the least amount of mental repercussions.
Yeah, most people have isolated themselves a long time ago. So
yeah.
Go, Steve.
I got to take off. I don't know. Are you gonna? I don't know if you're gonna keep going, but I'm gonna take off. So
yeah, give us your last word on what you think is going to be good or bad from this. In what directions?
What are your last words, Steve?
Well, the bad I think is that I think there's a very high possibility, at least, of something equal or worse than COVID-19 because of all the fact that people are like having a lot of hand washing and sanitizing with alcohol, which effectively denatures proteins that can denature the proteins of a virus. But the viruses that do survive, or the bacteria that survive,
Superbug.
they're going to get superbug. Yeah. And so I've asked a virologist that question that's going to be asked next week. We might have something on that. Jess and I are going to try to talk about that, because I think that is a very prime concern, given the way people have overly protected themselves. Again, there's a happy medium. This is why I like virtue ethics. It's like a happy medium between two vices. Same thing. I think that people have gone to the extreme right now, and I think there's going to be worse ramifications possibly, because that won't be a pandemic, but it'll be a local isolated things. You'll see increases of things like MRSA type of situations, which is a very, very, very antibacterial resistant
Yeah.
strain, right? So of Staphylococcus. So, but anyways, that's my final take.
All right, Mikey, you go
didn't-
next.
Yeah. I'm just glad, and this sounds a little insensitive by Steve. This may sound a little insensitive, but I'm glad that this is just a flu and it isn't something worse. Because at this point, America, you fucking failed the test. You failed. You guys were told not to get in large groups. That is the very first thing you did at 5 a.m. in the morning. You rushed the grocery stores. You were told not to hoard, and you went to the grocery store in large groups and you hoarded. Hopefully, after the stores recover from all this bullshit, and if something else happens in the future, you don't do the same thing. Because if you do the same thing, that's it for all of us. That will be, if this was something actually like deadly for anybody of any age, if this was an actual plague, we'd be fucked, because no one listened to the advice of the experts and everyone just decided, I'm going to look out for me. Well, if you do that, you kill all of us. And I don't care how much toilet paper you have in there, you will run out of food. And then when you run out of food, that's when shit gets crazy. When you run out of medicine,
Hence the
that's when
toilet paper.
Right. The food, and then the medicine, and then the gasoline, and now we're in fucking World War Z. Because instead of like that pandemic doesn't have to be the zombies running around trying to eat people's brains. It's people fighting over resources at the end of the day. Because the zombies, they always found a solution for. It was the fighting over resources with the problem of the zombies. And Max, what is his name?
556 is the next currency.
Yeah, exactly. NATO rounds. It's we have failed this first test, and I hope we all glean lessons from this test. Follow the fucking advice of the fucking experts, because if this was actually something bad, we'd all be really fucking screwed right now.
All right, I'm gonna make Mikey sad real quick. There was a guy in Kentucky who had to be held in his house by armed guards because he refused to obey his quarantine.
Yeah, I shared that.
So when the next test comes around, my state will fail you immediately. You are welcome.
There you go.
Sweet, would you like to go?
Oh, no, I mean, I've kind of said what I had to say. I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic as I can. I think that's the only way to kind of get through it. You have to do the best you can, recognize when people are being irrational. I think as you don't fall into those panicky traps, be careful, but don't panic. And, like I say, wash your hands and don't touch your face. And really just care about the people around you. If you're healthy and you're young, awesome. That's great for you. Don't go killing other people who aren't. Can't hear Josh, but other people can.
Hit the space bar.
Sakes, I do that all the time. So last one for me, I think, is just going to be like, there are a lot of resources out there. Utilize them. Look at YouTube. Search by things that you're interested in on Google or on YouTube or on Twitch. There's a lot of things, like if you are isolated, if you feel like you're alone, reach out. There's Discords. You can search in Discords for communities. You can search on YouTube, and a lot of things on YouTube will have related Discords. If you're interested in Twitch, go to Twitch, and there is 24/7 communities going on. You can find people who will be willing to talk to you. You can find people who are going to be interested. That doesn't mean just go wherever. Still be cautious. I think there are a lot of things that can be gleaned from this. I think we can learn, and we can kind of take advantage of a bad situation and see some of the good that's come from it environmentally, workplace wise, better habits, things we can learn not to do and to do, like maybe stop doing so much pollution. Do we need to work a full 40-hour shift, or can we get work done that was being done in an office done online now? And if they can effectively do it online, can more people maybe work from home and allow people to have more freedoms in their day-to-day lives. And I hope we can take that, and I hope that whatever elections are coming up and whoever you're voting for, good for you. Make informed decisions. Learn about your state, learn about your country, learn about your province, learn about your laws, your territories, whatever is involved. Take the time to educate yourself. Take the time to educate the people around you if you can, whether that's your kids, whether that's elderly people or people who don't know what. Like, it goes both ways. It goes both ways. Whether it's people who are the same age as you, older than you, younger than you, it applies across the board. Because sometimes I see people a lot of the time that are mad at something online, or they're mad at somebody because they're not understanding the sacrifice being made somewhere else. And just because they don't know the scope, or they watch their one channel and that's all they have. Check on your neighbors. Instead of all going to the grocery store, maybe one of you goes to the grocery store. Keep each other safe, help each other out, and, don't be dickheads. I'll probably be live again tomorrow. Maybe we'll do some art. I'm going to try and keep online and live as much as possible just to keep people a little bit entertained and give a little bit of relief to that. Resistance for 5 said, love you all, heart. Do your best to look after yourselves mentally and physically. You might be isolated, but you're not alone. And I think that's a really good thing to end on. And I think we should stick with that. So unless there's anything else from anybody, I think we're just about done.
I'll put my Twitter in the description. Contact me.
Yeah, I'll put everybody who managed to come in today. I'll put everybody's Twitter links, and everything will be available. And I think I will also be adding Mikey's Twitch and gaming stuff as well. So if you're interested in finding any of us,
I want to ask Mr. Serious a question.
Yeah, please do.
Is that T-shirt? Are those proteins folding or prions, or what the hell is that?
No, it's a T-shirt. It's a scene with the thing from Journey. It's sadly a game I've never played.
It's the scarf. So as you run around, maybe go play Journey. Journey is a great game. It's a game where you run around and you explore an area. You can't actually talk to anybody, but as you explore, your scarf gets longer and longer, and you can glide for longer and longer. Go check it out. It's gorgeous. The soundtrack for it, beautiful. And we'll call it there. Have a good night, everybody.